Hi, welcome to Monster Free Mothering. So, this month we've been talking about aggression, and aggression is such an overwhelming issue to have in your home. So, I want to give you some input about a strategy that is often effective for dealing with aggression in toddlers and young children. And this strategy is simply timeout. I don't call it timeout in my household, which is purely because there was a time when I was with my niece and we were playing a game and I said timeout from the game and she started bawling because she thought I was putting her in timeout. So I have just taken to calling it naughty spot. So you can call it what you want as long as your kid understands what it is. So timeout is an effective practice for significant behaviors. It should only be used for physical aggression, for instances where the child is in danger, like if they are running into the street or if they are climbing the bookshelf, something that is dangerous to them that you need them to stop doing. And the third is if they are receiving too much attention from other people in the environment, and so they need to be removed from the environment to recognize that they need to stop that behavior. So those are the 3 times that is acceptable to use timeout according to the research, and those are the times that it's going to be effective. So you should not use timeout in isolation. This should not be your only discipline strategy. You need to also implement positive parenting strategies like establishing clear, concise, specific rules and establishing positive consequences for following those rules that are consistent, that are uplifting to the child. You should also be giving non-contingent attention, and you should be making the environment of your home a place that the child wants to be, so that when they are removed to timeout, it actually is something that they do not want to have happen. It's an aversive thing for them. There's a consequence. In addition to those things, you should also be providing behavior instruction. So when you see your child having aggressive tendencies, or as you see your child hitting, see them biting, teach them alternative behaviors so that they know, oh, I felt mad. I didn't have to hit him. I could have asked him to give me that toy back. So use those strategies primarily, and then when hitting does happen, use timeout. So it's important that you follow the timeout procedure in order for it to be an effective method. So first, you're going to want to give a warning, and that's not after the behavior has happened. You're giving a warning, it's before. So I see that the child is starting to get angry. Say, remember, if you hit, you have timeout. And so that's the warning. It's before the hitting even occurred. And you can set that at the beginning of playtime even. We are going to play with your friend today. If you hit, you will have timeout. Set the expectation and give that warning ahead of time so they're not surprised when it comes. So then use all your preventative strategies, and then the child still hits. You can say, that's hitting. You're going to timeout. And then allow the child to walk themselves to timeout. If they are not cooperative, give the same command multiple times. It's called the broken record technique. So you'll say, that was hitting, you need to go to timeout. Repeat it. So count to 10 in your head. That was hitting, you need to go to timeout. It might take a long time the first time. And after 5 or so repetitions, if we're talking about a child who is less than 5, you can guide them after 5 repetitions of the command. We want to stick with the least restrictive intervention, so that's why we're going to give them a chance to walk by themselves. If they don't, guide them, carry them. So the next thing that is important about timeout is the location. They should not be completely isolated away from everyone, because we need them to be safe. So you want them in a place in your house where you can see them and make sure they are safe, but where they are not receiving reinforcement. So this can be virtually anywhere, as long as other people know not to talk to that child while they are in timeout, and the child is not in a place where they can play with toys or do things that they enjoy doing, that they are in a place that that is away from all external reinforcement. And so the next thing is setting a time. So the research has shown that it is most effective to use timed timeout contingent on a certain behavior. So if your child is a child who sits in timeout and screams, then your contingency for getting out is you need to be quiet for 2 minutes. Or if your child is one who gets out of the timeout seat, your contingency is stay in the seat for 2 minutes. It doesn't have to be 2 minutes. It's dependent upon the age. That I'll talk about that next. But so after you have established the behavior that you want them to have, you'll sit them in the chair. I recommend you have a designated, like a chair, or I can show you on my website some images of different timeout options, but just has to look like its own spot. And so sit the child in the spot and say, you are in timeout for hitting. That's all. Say it calmly. You're not yelling at them. You're not lecturing them. You are in timeout for hitting, and you walk away. If the child starts to scream or starts to run away, then you will say you need to stay in your spot for whatever length of time. And then you will set the timer. Do it so that they can hear you set the timer, or so that it's a visual timer that they can see. And then you'll have more success that way. So your time should be 1 minute for the age of the child per year of the age. So if your child is 2, do a 2-minute timer. If your child is 4, do a 4-minute timer. And so the child is expected to stay in the timeout spot for the total length of the timer. If the child starts to scream, the timer starts over, and you'll explain that. So you'll say, you are screaming, the timer is starting over, and we will have 4 minutes of quiet. Or you are not staying in the chair, you will sit down, and we will have 4 minutes in the timeout chair. So we're going to really reduce the words that you use, get straight to the point, and then walk away. Remove the extra attention, because that is the point. Is if you are going to hit, we are not going to interact with you until you're ready to be safe. So when the timer goes off, they have followed through on the contingency, and they have successfully fulfilled the timer. Then you go back, turn off the timer, and say, why were you in timeout? And wait. Give them at least 20 seconds to respond before you try to tell them, because they actually are thinking, even if they don't look like they're thinking. So give them time. If they don't respond, say, you are in timeout for hitting. Why are you in timeout? And then allow them to answer. And you can repeat it as many times as they need. It might be a language issue if they are not able to tell you, or they might just not remember what happened. So give them the answer and allow them to repeat it. So then you're going to tell them, hitting is not okay. When you come back, you're going to have soft hands, or you're going to keep your hands to yourself, whatever your household rule is. And then it's over. You can give them a hug, give them a high five, great job calming down, let's go join the group. But we're not going to dwell on the problem any longer. It's done. So then when they rejoin the group, it's like it didn't happen. We're happy. We're going to restart. We're going to have soft hands, or we're going to keep our hands to ourselves, however you want to describe it. So I hope that this was helpful to you to understand the process of timeout. If you will go to my website, you can find some more resources about it, specifically a flowchart describing the process, because it is very critical that the process be followed precisely. And then there is also information about troubleshooting problems with timeout. And so if you would like any more information, visit my website. You can also sign up for consultation or my next monster proofing event. So visit monsterfreemothering.com.